his college golf career started. Um, Other than one semester where he struggled a little bit, Ryan played pretty much every match that we played, starting at the NAIA level and finishing at the Division II level. So basically went for I think it was 2 years at NAIA.
Yep,
Is that where
two
we
and
were?
two.
2 years at NAIA, and then second for 2 years at NCAA Division II, where unfortunately his senior year we were 2 shots from actually making it into the finals at to get to our conference championship. So that was kind of
Still bothers me to this day.
You know, you can always look back and try to figure out, hey, where did we lose 2 shots? But again, you know, we had our opportunity and just couldn't close the deal, so to speak. So Ryan's going to talk a little bit about his journey through his golf career, as well as his now media company called Eagle Eye Media, and kind of talk to those of you that are going to be sophomores, juniors, seniors, even going into your freshman year. Some of the things that you should be doing if you plan on trying to play at the next level. And also, he also does the media for those types of things. So I'm gonna let him kind of walk through things and introduce himself. I think you got a little bit of bio that you're going to go through there, right?
Yep, got a little story to tell. Hopefully I don't lull you guys asleep, but
yeah. So
if it starts dragging on, it's like, hey Ryan, come on, we get the point. We're good.
Yeah, at one point Ryan actually was our record holder for lowest score.
Yep,
lowest
was here.
2-round score. That was
that one
here.
day.
What did you shoot? 69-71, something like that. So, which was later, I think, Plummer.
And Plummer got the 2-day and 1 day.
Yeah. So, so anyway, very accomplished player. What do you play to now? +3?
+4 at Lincolnshire.
+4.
No
Okay,
idea.
so he's a +4 at Lincolnshire now. So, even since he got out of college, he's actually gotten better. So,
No idea how, but
there you go.
hey, I'll take it.
Hard work and, you know, hitting a lot of balls, right?
Exactly.
So, Ryan Wells.
Cool. Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Alrighty, cool. So, obviously I'm Ryan. Kind of my main goal today is to give value to both the kids and the parents, kind of give you a rundown of what the recruiting process looks like, you know, what a college athlete normal day looks like, getting ready for post-graduation, and then kind of when you're out in the real world, just kind of give you a glimpse at how probably the next, kind of, you know, for you guys, 5 to 7 years look like, for you guys maybe the next 10 years. So it's going to come at you quick, but first I'm going to start off with just a little bit of my story and about me. So,
Can everybody see that?
yeah, can we see? Sorry, best we got. But I'm 24 years old, currently live in St. John, Indiana. I started golfing at a very young age when I was 3 at my now country club Lincolnshire still. I actually wasn't supposed to start playing until I was 4, when my dad ended up talking to pro and let me play in the 3-hole division. I ended up winning it that year, so that's kind of the funny story that, you know, that's kind of how my golfing life got started. So just growing up, you know, I played baseball. I always thought I was going to be a professional baseball player. Still threw golf in there, basketball, just like every other kid. Played a bunch of video games growing up. Call of Duty, NBA 2K was like where I spent all my time. So I feel like a giant nerd saying that, but pretty much then, you know, going into high school, I was not the best player at all. My freshman year, we actually had 15 kids on the team, and I was the 15th man. But by my sophomore year, I was number 2 on varsity. Just worked really, really hard all summer long, every summer, just to get better. Then didn't really know if I was good enough to play college golf. Didn't know if I wanted to. It wasn't really until my senior year of high school that I was like, you know what, I think I want to try, at least give it a shot, see what it's like. But I quickly realized that, especially since I know you guys play in the fall, our season's actually in the spring. So I'm like, crap, I don't even have like enough, like, any time to really prove myself or like go out and have coaches come and recruit me, because most of the time their rosters are already set for the next year. So I was really, really behind the 8 ball. I never really got recruited, never got any looks. And that's when I decided to start digging. And that's when I got, luckily, coach to respond to me. We kind of got linked up and, graduated high school in 2015, jumped onto the PNW team 2015 of the fall. Made the top 5 for the first tournament. I ended up top 5 my first 2 ever college tournaments, so that was really, really huge. Kind of just confidence-wise, and kind of really just the beginning of a nice, good 4-year run that we had. Going out, through college, got my degree, graduated in 19, got my degree in marketing and sales. Went to work right away after college, worked at a local marketing agency that I interned at, and then, good old coronavirus hit, and pretty much they had to let me go. They merged my role with somebody else. And then all throughout 2020, just kind of hung out, tried to get another job, really couldn't. So I had a bunch of people that were kind of pushing me, like, hey man, you're really good at what you do, you're really good at what you do, why don't you just start your own business? I'm like, never thought I'd really be doing it this early in my life, but went for it, just made the jump, just went for it, and ever since the beginning of 2021, we've been full speed ahead. So that's pretty much how I got here today. And since it's not really up here, that's my mom. She's my biggest supporter. Always was the team mom. She brought cookies and brownies all the time. She made it out to every trip but one, when it was only because there was a blizzard through Kentucky, and I was like, do not go. That's me, and actually my cat Miko. I was 6 years old when I got him. That's right when we got him, and I took that, and that's me at 6. He's still around today. He's 18 years old, just hanging out, still moving around and all that good stuff. That's my senior year at college after we won our home tournament for the 3rd year in a row. I ended up taking 2nd that year, lost 1 stroke to this one kid, still not happy about that. My stepmom and dad at college graduation, again, another 2 of my biggest supporters. And then another thing about me, I love cars. That's my Jeep, had it for 8 years. Just kind of me being silly and stupid. I actually have another car now too, so. Love my cars. Alrighty. So let's get into it. For you guys here, how many of you are thinking about playing college golf or have already committed to playing college golf? Perfect. Have you guys started the process yet, or what have you been doing? Don't all talk at once.
Austin, have you started?
No.
Are you ready?
Cool. So my biggest thing that I've learned, obviously I did it the complete wrong way. I waited way too long and I kind of got stuck. My advice would be start as soon as possible, whether it's your freshman year, your sophomore year, even going into high school. Just start keeping track of maybe these places you want to be going to, get some colleges on your map, and pretty much decide, like, what do you want, like, where do you want to go? Do you want to stay close to home, or do you want to go away? Do you want to go to a bigger school that's more established, or do you want to go to a program that might be a little bit newer and you can help build it up? Or are you going strictly based off of where they're going to give you the most money, whether, academic, athletic scholarships, stuff like that? Another thing that growing up, I feel like everybody wanted to go D1. And that was like I feel like that's just a big trap. Like, it's competitive at every single level, whether it's NAIA, D3, D2, D1. Those kids are there to play golf, and like they made that decision that they're gonna go play. So don't get stuck in that trap of, I gotta go D1, or I'm not gonna look cool or whatever. Just go wherever you want to, wherever fits your needs the best, and then find those schools and start recruiting. It's never, like I said, it's never too early to get on these college coaches' radar. Whether you send out just a few emails just to say, hey, I'm thinking about playing, I'm in class of 2024, 2025. We just want to kind of come in, sit down, and talk to you and see if you have even any open roster spots. And don't get me wrong, it's going to be frustrating. It's a lot of work to try to find these places and find these schools that are even open to taking people, because on average I would say they take only about 8 to 10 people. And let's just say there's 2 kids per every class. So every 2 years, or every year, there's gonna be only 2 spots open. And what if there's one local kid that they're already looking at then there's only one spot left. And there might be other competition for that. So it's like, you want to be the most consistent, whether, even if they don't reply to you, don't get discouraged. You might have to send 3, 4, 5 emails before they even reply. And they might just reply, sorry, not interested. But at least then you have that closure and you know. So then I would say once you finally get that good list and you reach out to these places, you want to go visit them, you want to go talk with the coach, you've been communicating back and forth, come prepared with I'd say a checklist of your needs and wants, even just within the golf program. Does it have an indoor facility? How is the indoor facility? Is the course close to campus? Do you have to drive? Can you walk? Stuff like that. And then as well as just the campus in general. Are the dorms nice? Is there, is the weight room nice? Is the academic program good for what degree you want to go into? And then obviously, as you're getting ready to commit, don't wait too long, because there might be one of those things where they're talking to 2 kids and they're just going to kind of go with whoever commits to them first. So if it's really your dream school and a good situation for you, do not be afraid to jump on it. I would say, like I said earlier, they usually have the roster set by the fall or the winter, so you probably have to commit somewhere between junior year, summer, going into end of junior year. Somewhere in between there. I would say, again, I did it completely wrong, but that's just kind of what I hear nowadays too. So that's pretty much it on recruiting. And then again, or just one other thing I missed too. When you're going in and interviewing with that coach, make sure you're prepared with good questions. What's the day-to-day like? How do you run your program? How do you run your practices? What is the traveling like? How many tournaments do you plan? How many people go to those tournaments? And then follow up. When you leave there, email them, hey coach, thanks so much for your time. It was great to meet you and some of your team, and check out the campus. Hopefully we'll be in contact, and then just keep the communication and conversation going, and then just ask what the next steps are if you're truly interested. So that's pretty much recruiting, I would say, in a nutshell. And next, all right. What to expect being a college athlete? Let's just say it's a really big adjustment, it's a big change. So you've been living at home your entire life, right? You come home, dad's cooking dinner. You come home, mom's doing your laundry. You come home, your bed's made, everything's nice and clean for you. The second you leave and go to college, if you stay on campus and move out, all that goes away. That all goes on you. So now there's a huge responsibility that hey, I actually have to do all these things now for myself. And it hits a lot of people quick. A lot of people adjust to it quick. Some, it takes a little bit of time. But my biggest thing I would say is just that comes with the time management, the discipline. Because in college you do have a lot more free time on your hands. But at the same time, it's really easy to fall behind if you don't take it very seriously and you don't manage your time well. Because let's say you're on the golf team now. Now you have practice from 8 to 10. Then you have class from 11 to 2. Then you got a break for 2 hours. What are you going to do with those 2 hours? You could go back to your dorm and sleep. Sure, that'd be cool, that'd be fun. But it would be better off to probably go study. And a lot of these places as freshmen, you have study all hours and other things that the program is going to basically make you do to make sure that your grades stay up to par. And obviously it comes the discipline part too. It's nobody's gonna make you do it except yourself. So like I said, you could easily just be I'm good, that paper's not due until next week. And then it comes the night before, you're oh crap, I have to write a 5-page paper, when you could have easily been chopping away at it, paragraph a day to get it done. And then, so that's pretty much, again, get involved. You're gonna meet new people, obviously. They're also gonna help you develop more into your routine. You're gonna meet new people that are gonna help you out with, whether it's your teammates or new classmates, they're really gonna help you kind of adjust to that new lifestyle that you're going through. Because again, especially if they're all freshmen too. You guys are in the same boat. You're trying to figure it out as you're going. And another big thing that I think a lot of people take for granted, especially as a college athlete, is getting to know your professors. Because at some point you're gonna have to tell them, hey, I'm not gonna be at class because I am gonna be away at a tournament, we have practice, whatever the case may be. And it's one of those things that just makes it easier to talk to them about it. You know, engage in your class, don't sit in the back of the room and just, you know, fall asleep and be on your phone. Get more towards the front, engage in the class. I mean, you're just gonna learn more anyways. But it shows that, you know, you're taking it serious. And they're not gonna take your sport serious and your request serious if you're not being serious with them all along. So get to know them, even if, you know, I'm not saying you have to go eat lunch with them every day, but, you know, talk to them after class, ask them, how's your day going? Or stop in your office hours just to say, hey, I really like this last lesson about whatever it was, you know? Just helps you out a little bit more, and again, it makes it easier when you are asking them basically, I'm gonna miss your class, can I make it up? So then, let's see what else we got. So pretty much, and then know why you're there. College golf is a privilege. Like, it's a privilege to be on any team one. Like, there's probably, like I said, there's 8 spots. There's probably 5 to 10 other kids that really wanted a spot on that team and they were denied. So I never took it for granted. I knew how special it was. You don't have it forever, unfortunately. I wish you could, because that'd be cool. Don't take it for granted. Work hard. And I still have this quote written down here. You know, let me backtrack real quick. Still have your fun. Like, it's a lot of, like, college is a lot of fun. You're gonna have so much fun and so many memories from college golf alone. But just don't take it for granted, because there's gonna be somebody else that will want that spot. And then there's this other quote I have written down. I don't even remember who told me it, but it's just always stick with me. It was probably like my sophomore year of high school. You can either work hard for 4 years to have fun the rest of your life, or have fun 4 years to work hard the rest of your life. Meaning, you have 4 years, obviously, like, you're gonna have your fun, but work on building these good habits. Work on the discipline, like I talked about, the time management. You know, developing these good habits that are gonna help you when you finally get out into the real world. Because there's so many people that, you know, you'll see in class, even some of the athletes, like, you're not there to golf. Like, you are at one point, but the ultimate goal is you're there to get your degree and graduate. So there's so many people I've seen, you know, before me, after me, they just get to that 2.1 GPA to stay eligible. They do the bare minimum, they go out, they party Tuesday through Sunday. It's like, what are you guys doing? You know, and when they get out into the real world, it hits them really hard. Can't find a job. When they do get a job, it's not the best, and then, you know, they're slacking off. They have all these bad habits that they're trying to reverse, when the whole time they should have really been practicing the good habits. So that's one of the bigger things that I'd like you guys to take away from this. I'm gonna say it again: work hard for 4 years to have fun the rest of your life, or have fun for 4 years to work hard the rest of your life. Because only you can control what you do, and you're just gonna shoot yourself in the foot if you don't really take it serious, because I've seen both ways of it. All right. So, unfortunately, you guys are gonna play college golf. You're gonna go through the years in college. At some point, you are gonna graduate. So, how do you prepare for graduation? It's pretty much, I would say, the same as recruiting. It's never too early to start looking for a job, especially if you know what you're gonna do. You know, there's some people that they had to switch majors junior year and they're behind, they might need a 5th year, or whatever, but if you're gonna be in and out in 4 years and you know you're gonna be a nurse, you know you're gonna be an accountant or a vet, whatever the case may be, it is never too early to start looking. It's the same thing as the recruiting, or where do you wanna go to college? Am I gonna stay close to home and work? Am I gonna go to a big city and work? Am I gonna move across the country to work? Do I wanna be in a big corporation? Do I want to be in a medium-sized company, a small business? So all those things, it's only you could answer that, but that's a big part of post-graduation is kind of figuring out where you want to be and what you want to do. So obviously, as you go throughout years, keep an updated resume. I know it's cliche and everybody says it, but it's true. If you go back to it a year and a half later, you'll be like, wait a minute, what did I do like 2 years ago? And you'll be surprised how fast you can build your resume, especially once you get more into your degree, and how fast you could build your resume into more opportunities that present itself for like clubs you could get involved with, just other extracurriculars, helping out teachers, internships, stuff like that. And then also be active on LinkedIn. Does everybody know what that is, or at least heard of it? Yeah, no? Thank you. Am I boring you guys yet? You still here? He's like, yeah, I'd rather be at home watching football. You're honest, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But so basically, LinkedIn's like a professionals network social media. You can reach out to professionals, you can follow companies, people, update your resume, put all your experiences, stuff like that on there. And again, just be active. You could also you can look for job postings there, literally anywhere in the country. You can apply to them right then and there. It's a pretty cool platform. I don't really use it anymore because I just get spammed with sales people. But for kids that are still in school, I would highly recommend it. And I also highly recommend an internship with whatever field you're going into, because there's nothing like real world experience. There's only so much a book and a professor could really teach you. There's nothing like going through the day-to-day of what you might be doing for the next 30 to 35 years of your life. And it's totally worth sacrificing a summer or whatever the case may be, just to figure out if you like it. You might be going in a totally wrong direction. You might get into that internship and be like, wow, this sucks. I do not want to be in this. So, and sometimes they pay you too. So it beats working at McDonald's or wherever else kids work nowadays. And as you're getting ready to graduate and you're looking for a job, stuff like that, use your connections that you've made. By the time you're a junior, end of your junior year, and you're, starting to look for a job, you're gonna have so many people built up at that school that, if you ask, they're gonna be more than willing to help you. Between your coach, professors, people you meet at like networking events, even like they have counselors who set, people up with jobs. They do job fairs all the time at colleges too. So use your network. That's what you're pretty much paying for, is to, have these people help you get a job after. So, and then another story I just want to share real quick is I've seen people I graduated with like kind of get over promise stuff in a job offering, meaning like, hey, we're gonna give you full benefits plus like $60K a year and you're gonna be doing just what you want. They take the job like, oh my God, this is great. But then once they get in there, it's like you're doing 20 hours worth of what you want to be doing, and then like you're going to take the boss's car to like wash it and doing other like stuff that's not in that job description. And it's just like, it sucked to see that, but like it's at the same time, it's kind of like that doesn't really happen anymore, where you get your dream job right out of college. So the question I would ask you guys is, do you want to go into a big corporation where you just become a number? I'm kind of biased towards this, but or you could go to like a smaller business where you're working, there might only be two, like let's say marketing, social media managers. You're working directly with the experienced person that is your boss. You're in the same room with them every single day, and you're hearing these conversations, whether on sales calls or just working with a client. Like, you're not in your cubicle, you're out in the office just working, doing your thing, but you also hear every single conversation that they're having, like I said. And you're gonna learn so much just from being in that room and experiencing working like hands-on with the expert than you are if you're just like kind of left alone to do your work, in my opinion. So that's a big thing, at least that I did, that I thought really helped me. All right. Any questions so far?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you give us a typical day-to-day of Ryan Wells when he was playing golf at 30 Northwest? When we were preparing, we'll just take the fall season and we were getting ready to head for a tournament.
Cool. So I would get up at probably 6 o'clock for 7:30 practice. Play 9 holes, out of there by 10. Depending on what day it is, I would have class 11 to 2-ish. And then pretty much I would have to go around to all my professors or let them know somehow, like, hey, we're leaving for 3 days, we're gonna be gone. So by the time that, got to find some time to eat in between there too. That didn't happen a lot, but 3, 4 o'clock I would head to the gym, get my workout in. I would go back, shower, try to work on as much homework as I can, because trust me, you do not want to be doing homework on these golf trips, because just trust, it's like the worst thing to have to grind for 5 hours on the course. Usually in the spring, depending if you stay around here, it's cold and you get tired. And then by the time you have dinner and you get a shower, the last thing you want to do is get on your computer and try to finish an assignment that you should have done before you left. But I got away from the main point there. But I would say like 5 o'clock, I would go work on homework from like 5 to 7, pack up for a trip, go to bed at like 9 or 10, and wake up the next day and go on a trip.
Sometimes we would leave at
4 in the morning.
4 a.m. So, we'd get on a bus at 4 a.m. and we'd head to Memphis or, someplace like that.
Tennessee, Kentucky.
Yeah. We'd get there, you eat, you jump out of the bus, you maybe hit some balls, get ready for your practice round, get on the golf course, which is usually 5 to 6 hours.
Especially the practice rounds are always long.
Yeah, they're always long because people are hitting multiple balls and
there's
trying to
5 to
figure
6
out the
kids
golf course.
team.
And then after that, if we hadn't already checked into the hotel, we'd probably go check into the hotel and then head to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
About 9 o'clock, we'd have a team meeting and
Pretty much have to go to bed at that point because you're getting up at 5 or 6.
some people were still studying if they had organic chem or something like that going on.
Yeah, the real crazies.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were studying on the bus, in the van.
Business degree is a lot easier, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah.
And you do the same thing. You would be out on the course all day and go back, shower, eat.
Yeah, we
By
usually
then
have
you're
breakfast
exhausted.
at like 6 a.m. We'd probably leave at about 6:45.
Yeah.
Be to the golf course, warm up, get ready to go. Yeah.
Depending on how long it took, and then you gotta wait for everybody to finish usually.
Yeah.
All your
just hit the
teammates.
repeat button for the next day. And then we'd hop in the bus or van and go ahead, Dave.
Just wondering what your take is the courses that you played in high school
Mm-hmm.
versus some of the college courses. Some of these guys are coming up through the IJGA and things like that, like certain distances
Right.
and whatnot. And then all of a sudden it's Merry Christmas, here's your golf course when you get to college.
Exactly.
What's your take on that?
No, it's a really good question. Thankfully, out in Indiana, we played a lot of good courses still. My home course was Palmyra. I don't know if you're familiar with that area. As Lake Central, that was our home course. That's a really tough course to grow up on and learn the game. Crown Point played at Yuki, Chesterton was at Salmon Creek, but then you also go to Maryville played at Summer Tree, which is like a goat ranch of the goat ranches. So you got a good fair share of it. Lengthwise, obviously, high school is a lot shorter, but we still played probably 6,000 to 65 in high school. In college, it's pretty much 62 to 7. But again, then you start, even for us, we stay around here a lot, but still even going to Kentucky and Tennessee, there's different types of grasses that we played on too that we're not used to. And some of them a lot more slopes, and you don't realize that slope might look like the green's going this way, but there might be a river like 100 miles that way and it actually goes left. And you don't figure that out, AKA Kearney.
Yeah.
Or no,
Right.
Pearl Club.
Yeah, Pearl Club,
Yeah. That's it.
for sure.
So, I have a question with like managing, like you said, like internships, like grades, like
Mhm.
social life, like
Yeah.
everything. Like, how did like that happen? Because I find like that's my one what's difficult, is like managing like everything. And
Right.
because like there's like there could be like one detail that's like so minor in one thing and then it blows off the other thing. So like
Mm-hmm.
then I can't do that one and I can't do the other one.
Again, it's the same. It's different for everybody, which comes into, you know, you got to find a routine that works for you. Maybe it's getting up an extra half an hour earlier a day or an hour, or it's maybe doing the littlest thing that's on your list, but at least knowing that you're checking something off that list makes you feel like, you know, you're accomplishing something and you gain momentum for the rest of the day. But again, it comes down to what's the most important thing that you have to get done right away. Is it practice? Is it homework? Is it a test that's coming up? So there's all these variables, but again, you just gotta, it comes down to what works best for you, what you find works best in your routine, you know? And don't be afraid to play around with it. Maybe it's just staying up later and waking up at the same time. Maybe it's going to bed still late and waking up an extra hour early, so. Cool. I have 2 more slides, 3 more, I think. And then I'll open it up again for questions. Just kind of keep it going. Come on to that slide. Yeah, cool. All right, so the day's come. You're graduating college. More change and more adjustments coming. Because again, you went from playing college golf, having all this freedom, and now you're working your 9 to 5 or your 8 to 4. You're working 40, 50, 60, maybe 70 hours a week. So it's gonna be a big change. And again, if you're moving cross country, if you're moving into a new city, a new apartment, stuff like that, it's a huge adjustment that you're gonna have to get used to. So sometimes it's okay not to have a plan or have a chopped up plan. You know, sometimes you just have to go for it and just trust the process and know, you know, that you've built up these good habits that you're gonna keep practicing that help you get through and establish that in your routine. And you know, you're going to learn as you go. There's so much you're gonna learn your first year out of college. It's absolutely crazy. I know I learned a lot, but I also made a lot, even just in life in general. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and that's okay as long as you learn from them. You know, I don't want to ever say make mistakes on purpose, but like I encourage making mistakes because you're gonna learn so much about how other things work from that mistake. You're like, oh, I was put in this situation and I didn't do well because of X. You throw them back in the same situation, now you know, okay, this didn't work last time, so I'm gonna try. I now know I have to do this to get the good positive result. So that's just, you know, how you learn and grow as a person. You know, positive thoughts equals positive results. I always think it's that simple. And this comes down to just always just doing your best. You know, your name's attached to your high school work now, your schoolwork in college, and your athletics. Your name's gonna be attached to it. What legacy do you want to leave behind? Same thing for work. You know, your name's attached to your work, so always just do your best. And you know, you're gonna learn as you go. Some people learn at different paces, and that's okay. And then always do what's best for you and what you want to do. I feel like a lot of people get so stuck up on like, oh, this person might think this about me if I do that, or I'm worried about what, you know, Billy Bob over there is going to think of me if I do this. So just always just be you. You know, you guys are all unique in your own way, and just be authentic to yourself, and you know, just don't worry what other people think about you, because honestly, like, it's the harsh reality. The people that you might be friends with now in high school and college, you might not even be talking to them by the time you're out of college. So it's just the honest truth of sometimes how it works, but at the same time, you might have some lifelong friends from high school and college too. So that kind of leads into, you know, don't be afraid to take a risk. You know, I'm not saying buy a Lamborghini at 21, but You know, if there's a podcast you want to start just as something fun to do with a friend on the weekends, go for it. You never know what that might lead to. It might be the next cool thing on, you know, iTunes and all that good stuff. Or let's say you like, you know, knitting or whatever the case may be, something golf related. You want to start a side hustle reselling used golf clubs, like go for it. If you fail, you're gonna learn. Then something kind of a little bit irrelevant for you guys, but always be investing in your future. You know, especially if you get in with a good company that offers full benefits and a 401k, which is your pension, which is what you live off of when you retire, yada, yada, yada. They're usually gonna give you an option to match it. So if you pay in, say $100 of your paycheck goes into it a month, they'll match that $100 for as long as you work there, and you're just building that towards your future. And also like a Roth IRA, it's easy, it always grows. I don't even know how it does. I just put my $6,000 in a year, and now it's grown like 6-7% every year, and it's great. So that is that slide known. So going full circle with everything, your decisions and your perspective, which is this whole presentation's been based off of, how does that help you now? You know, like I said earlier, take the time to develop those good habits now, get in those good routines, and just keep practicing them. They're gonna help you when you get out into the real world, and it's gonna help you become a better leader. It's gonna be more disciplined and take initiative. And honestly, like, there's something about like being that competitiveness out in the real world, like, I don't know, it just makes you, when you see somebody who's 20-30 years ahead of you in your industry, and you're like, wow, how do I get there? It's just something about like that competitive nature from like being in awesome tournaments, or like even basketball games where like the game's close, like you just feel those competitive juices come out of you. And then it's just like the chasing of your goals, chasing of being the person you want to be, whether, you know, it's somebody in the short term, long term, 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road. So we're all chasing something. It's just a matter of what we're all chasing and what you want to do with your life. So, you know, we're not perfect, we never will be. Just stay continuously learning, always be developing your skills, working on your skills. You know, ask good questions, listen to others who have more experience than you, because if you just sit back and listen to a conversation that somebody's having with somebody who's like really, really smart, you're gonna learn a lot just from listening to those two people. So circling back down now to the decisions and perspective, everything I just talked about, you guys are gonna have to make that decision. Starting from, do I wanna play college golf? Yes or no? Where do I wanna go? Stay close or stay home? These are all decisions that you're gonna have to make, you know, pretty quick. And then even just everyday decisions, like I said earlier, you could go study for those 2.5 hours, or you could go home and sleep, or go back to your room and play Xbox, or, you know, you have a test tomorrow but these guys are going out and partying. Sorry, mom and dad, it's gonna happen in college, but yeah, you always have that decision. And, you know, hopefully you're gonna make the right ones, but again, it's all based on your perspective and how you see the world. And then lastly, you know, having college golf is a privilege, being in college is a privilege. You know, you're paying to be there. Just enjoy every step of your life, because there's always somebody like, oh, I can't wait to be out of high school, I can't wait to be out of college. But once that's over, you're gonna wish, hey, I wish I would have enjoyed more of, you know, this or that, or being in the moment. So my biggest thing that I want to leave you guys with is, you know, just enjoy the ride. Every part of life so far for me at 24 has been pretty great. Yeah, I wish I could go back to college and play college golf and go to school for only 3 hours a day, but that's come and gone. Now I'm running my own business, which is crazy, but it's a new type of fun, it's a new type of challenge. The things I've learned from just being on my own, literally I'm a one-man show, so if I don't work, I don't get paid. If I don't work, I don't have a country club to belong to. I don't have a roof over my head, stuff like that. So, and it all started, I mean, back when I was 12 years old when I started working at my country club now. And it's just I built on that through high school, through college, through post-college. So, yeah, just work hard, don't take anything for granted, and enjoy where you're at.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you can do for these guys as far
Oh, yeah,
as
that is the
videos
next,
go? And-
yeah, that is the next slide, I forgot. Honestly, stay connected with me. How I can help you now? Obviously, I'm here for a resource. I have business cards. Reach out to me. If you ever have any other questions that you think of after you leave, or you just want to be like, hey, Ryan, what's up? How's it going? You know, like, don't be a stranger. I'm on my phone all the time. Coach and I have actually partnered up to shoot recruitment videos for you guys, meaning we're gonna come out to Green Garden. We're gonna hit woods, short irons, long irons, wedges, putting, stuff like that. Put it all into like a 3-minute video. Have like nice little intro of you saying, you know, just a nice basic intro. Hi coach, I'm Ryan Wells, class of 2024. Thank you for checking out my video, and hope you like what you see, or something like that. Some little call to action. Then we'll go throughout the video, like I said, showing everything. And at the end, we'll just throw, you know, what class you're graduating in, accomplishments, tournaments you've won, stuff like that. So that's a pretty cool thing that I think we're gonna.
Do you have yours?
I do, but not on the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
But I can send it to you if you want to
Yeah, I can
send
forward
it
it
out to
to
them.
everybody,
But
for sure.
and again, just don't be afraid to reach out, use me as a resource. I want to see you guys all do well. And I think that's it. I don't remember what I put on the slide.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, just take a business card when you leave, and if you want to follow me on social media, go right ahead.
So like with colleges and like asking them like questions with like coming to visit them and things, like what should I be like asking? Like I don't even know, like just like ask them.
Mm-hmm. Well, so like a lot of times you just go to like a basic general, like they have open houses all the time for anybody just come in and visit. But you could also request if you're talking to the coach, like, hey, I'm coming on this day and time, or you know, asking what time works for you to meet, and just try to go there then and there. And sometimes it might be on the phone, which is totally cool. Same thing, you know, just make sure you ask good questions and be prepared. But it's always better just to meet them in person, you know, show off your personality a little bit more and just show more enthusiasm, like, hey, it'd be really cool for me to play here, and this is what I could bring to the team, and, you know, stuff like that. Answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yes, sir?
I got a question, just to follow up on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you recommend to stand out? And if you're reaching out to these coaches, I think you're right. You know, we have a son that's senior in high school, going through a whole tennis recruiting process, which is different, I think, somewhat
Right.
similar. But you're right. You know, they take 2 or 3 kids. You got dozens of kids that are potentially trying to. How do you stand out amongst those other dozens of kids that are all vying for those spots?
Right.
And stand out.
Again, I think there's probably 2 parts I would say. One is like, how involved do you want to get? Like, how active are you going to be to prove them, like, hey, yeah, I'm really good at tennis, but like I said, I'm also going to bring this attitude or this work ethic, stuff like that. I know it's kind of hard to show that. But again, I think it just comes down to being yourself and seeing how well you would fit in and clash with the other players that are already on the team. And again, that might just come with going there, visiting a school, and meeting with the team, and just, you know, showing them for yourself.
I think, Eric, that's a good question. I think,
Yeah.
you know, as a college coach, I was probably getting 100 emails a week. Sometimes even more than that, from kids that were interested in our engineering program and, you know, wanted to piggyback golf on top of that. You know, and again, that's at the Division II level. You know, at every level you're getting, you know, coaches are getting bombarded all the time. So, you know, we're weeding through what's their GPA. You know, that was my number one criteria. If their GPA wasn't up to snuff, and Ryan knows this because, you know, our GPA was on the guy's side.
3.5.
Yeah, right around
3.4.
3.5. On the women's side, it was right around anywhere from 3.6 to 3.85 most of the time. So we were always, you know, that was my number one thing, was to look at, okay, are they a good student? Because then as a coach, I don't have to worry about, you know, are they going to go to class? Are they going to, you know, do the things that we need them to do, you know, responsibility wise, community service, all of those types of things that you do as an athlete. Because the, you know, athletic department requires that you do X amount of hours of community service and study hall hours and all of that stuff. As a coach, we don't want to be chasing kids. So that would be number one. I mean, be a good student, do some leadership things in high school. That will really help you stand out. I would say, you know, as far as contacting coaches, some of the things that were important to me, how's the writing? Are they grammatically correct? Are they, you know, I was looking at all of those things because, you know, I would get emails like, hey coach, you know, wondered if I could come over for a visit. And that'd be the email. Well, I'm probably not going to respond to that email. You know, but if you kind of tell your story, yeah, I'm probably, and it, you know, there's not 27 grammatical errors and, you know, 10 misspelled words. I mean, how can you misspell words when you have spell check nowadays, right? So those are some of the things that I was looking at as a coach. Because obviously, you know, our athletic director is looking at all those things as well. So, you know, those are really things that as student athletes you want to be very aware of. We've got a couple people here, you know, Claire and Emma. You guys can kind of talk through some of the stuff that, you know, you've communicated with coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've went on visits.
Yeah.
You know, when you do that, hey, do I even like the coach? You know, a lot of times you go and maybe you don't even like the coach, right?
That's a huge part of it.
You know, do you actually connect with the coach?
And that comes down to like asking good questions to understand their philosophy, how they run things. You know, if you don't like that they have 4 a.m. workouts with, you know, a 10, 20 pound golf bag run laps
Running
around
on
the
treadmill,
yeah,
right?
you're probably not gonna want to go there. Like that doesn't sound fun.
Right.
But,
So I think those are things, you know, when you do go on a visit, asking, you know, Ryan hit it right on the head. I would have kids sit there and their parents would talk for them. Well,
yeah, definitely don't do
I'm
that.
not recruiting the parent.
Yeah.
I'm recruiting the player. I mean, the parents do have,
Support.
you know, something to do with that, but for the most part, I want to talk to, you know, to the person that I'm recruiting. I can give you, you know, I'll give you one story. I had a kid from Southern Illinois, right around St. Louis, that came in, was a very good player, but he never talked to me. His dad talked the whole time. You think I was interested? Not at all. So I think those are things that you want to, you know, that you want to understand as well. I mean, the coaches are really looking at the student athlete. So yes, as a parent, ask good questions, but the student athlete should also be asking, you know, hey, what do workouts look like? You know, where do we play? Do I need a car? You know, you can ask questions like, how much gear do we get? You know, do you give golf balls? You know,
Yeah.
Are you getting golf balls? Are you know, what kind of gear? That was a question that I got asked a lot. What kind of gear do you have? Because
And again, I think it's just being consistent, you know, not sending an email every day, hey coach, hey coach, hey coach, but, you know, just checking every once in a while, you know, especially if they had like a recent tournament and they did well, be like, hey coach, you know, saw you guys took second in a match or first in a match, super cool, congratulations, you know, talk soon, stuff like that. So I think that's what it comes down to, just being consistent, showing how authentic you are, and just seeing what type of kid you're going to be and what value you're going to bring to that team if you go there.
What's the, and Randy, you probably answer this, but what's the reality on the way like scholarship dollars get doled out versus
Yeah,
fully
that's,
funded programs versus programs that don't have, you know, aren't fully funded?
that's a fantastic question. Most programs are not fully funded. You know, at the NCAA Division II level, on the guys' side, if you're fully funded, it was 3.6 scholarships. On the women's side, it was 5.4. And as Ryan alluded to, there's 8 or 10 or even 12 kids on that roster. So don't think that you're gonna go to a school and you're gonna get a full ride. It just doesn't happen, even at the D1 level. They're in the same boat. Now they have a little bit more. I think on the men's side, it's like 4.5, and on the women's side, I think it's 6, if I'm not mistaken. So, but again, you know, if they've got 10 players on the roster and they've only got 6 full scholarships, somewhere along the line, somebody's not getting 100%, right? I think what you'll find at most programs, you know, they're just not getting 100%. They're getting, you know, they may be getting 30%, 50%, you know, some percentage thereof. And again, it all goes down to the funding of, you know, how much do they actually have in scholarship dollars? So, you know,
That's
I
also-
know at ours, on the guys' side, I had just over 1 scholarship. You know, so I'm doling that out over X amount of players. You know, I mean, Ryan didn't get a ton of money to come and, you know, played almost every tournament. But I think again, some of it is the experience too, right?
100%.
You know, just having the opportunity, like you said, you know, it's a privilege to play and, you know, represent your school, and I think that's a lot of how you have to look at it. You know, as a parent, I never expected, you know, full rides or, you know, anything like that. I expected that, you know, if the kids were good students, they'd probably get some additional dollars academically. So I think that's important.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. I mean, even if you only get 50% in athletic and you have a 3.8 coming out of college, you could probably get another 20%, maybe 30%.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on the school and
Depends
the
on the
division
school,
that you're
but-
playing at. You know, NAI gives scholarship, Division III does not, but if you're good academically, and I would also say, and I think Emma can follow up on this, and maybe Claire too, there's an awful lot of scholarships that you can apply for, that are outside the realm of athletics. So if you're good academically, you can find other avenues. You just have to spend the time to look for them. There's a lot of academic money out there that you can find, that will just piggyback onto, you know, anything that you get athletically, or even, you know, grant and aid, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, was it the FICA or something like that, or FAFSA, I think it is. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
still around, but. And again, it's
So-
like, especially on the women's side too, isn't there like a lot of scholarships that go unused?
No,
Or is that
you know, that's,
fake news?
yeah, that's fake news. As a matter of fact, I mean, you know, I've got an article that I read this morning, about, you know, all the different divisions, and, you know, it's an article from 2014, and it talks a lot about that, you know, don't believe, if people are telling you that, don't believe it, because it's not true. You know, there's not a lot of scholarship money that goes without being used.
See, I just learned something new by asking a good question.
Yeah, so.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So each of these schools have rosters of who's playing on the team.
Right.
And maybe you know those students because you've played with them in tournaments through high school.
Mm-hmm.
And is it ever possible to reach out to those students and say, how do you like playing on this team? And do you recommend, me applying for this school?
Yeah.
Is that?
I mean, especially with the power of social media. I feel like every kid has social media, so you could easily just, search them and follow them and just send them a message. I'm sure they'll probably give you your honest answer.
But is that a good resource to pursue or?
I would say so. I mean, that's not against any rules, is it? Kind of like,
It only is if you're actually being recruited at that point in time. So
okay.
if
that's
you're
what I
just
thought.
merely trying to get some information,
Mhm.
And you already know somebody at the school, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Especially if like you've had somewhat of a history with them too, like you know them, like you played against, like you said, you played against them in high school. At that point, you're just asking a question.
Yeah, you're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
That's not against NCAA.
No.
And again, I mean, it all depends on what level you play at. But I think Ryan said it best. At every level, it's competitive.
Mm-hmm. I said it's not like high school golf where the parents are making you play or whatever the case may be. Is like at college, they're all the number ones from high school, but they all decided to go play college golf. So they chose to be there. They're gonna put in the work and be good players. So it is. I mean, we played at NAIA, Cardinal Stritch, unbelievable.
Yeah, they were really
I
good.
mean, we got really good too, but still
Yeah.
the same thing. It's like NAIA, super
I mean,
competitive.
I think the interesting thing is, and Ryan played number one some weeks. Some weeks he might play number 4 or number 5. That's how competitive things are, because when you go back to, somebody doesn't play well in a tournament and we throw everybody back into the pool to compete again,
Yeah, to try to
to
qualify
find
for that
out who's
spot.
gonna go to the next tournament. So you pretty much gotta bring it every week.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't really touch on this much too, but a lot of you guys know mental golf is huge mentally. It's the same thing. Like we were 2 shots away from being in the conference finals. If one of us went down, mentally just like shut off for a few holes, that could have cost us. Or you let one swing slip where you think you have to hit it hard and you really don't, or you just have a complete brain fart on a chip or a putt. It's like it all adds up. So
Yeah, I think the, and Ryan can attest to this. I mean, just walking up and, backhanding a putt or one-handing a putt, that one shot could be the difference between you going to nationals and you having to go home. So Ryan knows that was probably one of my pet peeves. If I saw somebody just kind of rake it into the hole, no, that's not good stuff. I mean, you take your time, you line it up, and you put it in the hole.
yeah. Or even if you're like qualifying to make the top 5 or the top 6 if you're bringing an individual. Maybe you're playing the round and you're playing completely terrible and you don't think you have any shot of playing or making that top 5. You have no idea what's going on in the groups behind you. You being mad for 2 holes and taking a double when all you have to do is just make 2 bogeys and then you were in, So you never really know. That's why it's always just stay locked in, grind it out, whether you have your A game or your complete trash game. Just stay in
I would say this, one of the things about Ryan that I loved, there was never any give up. There would be times that I would see him and, I'd ask him, how you doing? And he'd be like, well, I'm X over. And then I'd see him, 5 holes later and he'd be 3 shots better than he was, he was always grinding. I mean, he never ever gave up, and that was one of his trademarks. I mean, he just never gave up. So when the score was posted at the end of the day and he was wore out just mentally, you knew that he gave it 100% every time he was out there. I mean, there was never a time that he gave up. And that's really, I think at the college game, it's really unusual. I watched an awful lot of kids that, when things started going south, they didn't get it back on the tracks. This guy usually always got it back on the tracks. You know, there were a few times that he didn't, but I can guarantee you that he was grinding to do it. So, those are just great things that you want to learn over the course of playing, is that you just don't know what's going to happen and what the score is going to be when you get done. You know, it was like when we were at the Virtues,
Oh my
right?
God, that
Remember?
place.
We didn't think we were playing that good, and all of a sudden we're in third place.
We're in third after day one. We're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
Like,
So-
okay, we're in this.
yeah, you just don't know. So,
It's one thing to give up on yourself, but giving up on your teammates is not a good feeling at all.
yeah, hence why we did what we did last week, right? You had a teammate. If you don't do something well, how do you feel, right? So,
It's the same thing for a
Just-
school project, for an assignment out in the real world. Not a good feeling.
yeah.
I got another quick one, possibly. I know it's-
No, you're good.
But,
You're good.
so you talked about how you had to grind in high school and things like that.
Mhm.
You know, tournaments, high school tournaments, are these competitive tournaments now? I mean, I'm gonna say all these initials wrong. There's IJGA, there's AJGA, there's this Hurricane Tour, there's Notre Dame has a tour now. I mean, there's
There's
everything
so
under the
much,
sun. Tournaments everywhere nowadays. You talked about, you know, getting your notice with coaches and things like that. So what's the balance, and Coach, you can answer this too, what's the balance between playing enough tournaments to like make a name for yourself, but then not playing too many, and then you get burned out because you're just like playing every day and you're like, oh, I hate the game.
Right.
I'm grinding 7 days a week. It's not fun anymore, right?
Yeah.
So what's that balance that, you know, because you gotta play something, right? And get
For
some
sure.
scores to show a coach that what your ability is, but then you don't wanna, you know what I'm saying? On the
Right.
back end,
No, I
I've seen
think,
lots of kids quit because they just,
yeah, I think in this instance, it's actually more quality over quantity. You know, get into those junior state AMs. You know, you're gonna have to qualify, but get in the qualifier, try to make the cut. Same for like the Illinois State Amateur, whatever. I don't know what kind of ones they have coming up, but like the ones that seem to be more, I don't want to say like prestigious, but ones that are probably gonna get looked at a little bit more, that have probably the better players. That'll be your best bet. I don't know if Coach wants to jump in.
Yeah, I think one of the things at the college level we're looking for is, 2-day tournaments, that you're playing 2-day tournaments, that you have a good variety, of golf courses as well. I was always looking at yardages that they were playing. I don't think that you necessarily have to play 20 tournaments over the course of the summer. I would say personally, I was one of those guys that did. I was playing two and three tournaments a week, but I loved it. So it wasn't a grind, and I didn't get burned out. I just loved doing it. So I think it kind of boils down to, what do you think that athlete can handle? Because I would say that, if they're showing really good progress, and they're only playing 6 or 8 tournaments a summer, and you've seen them go from here to here, that's plenty. But if you're not seeing that progression, then you probably need to get them more experience, because it's about comfort, right? When you do something enough, you become very comfortable in that environment. So I think you have to figure out and talk to your kids. How you feeling about this? I mean, that's the best way to go about it. I mean, I don't think there's any right or wrong. I do think that you have to make sure that you're playing 2-day events, though. And this is not all about winning golf tournaments. This is about showing growth. You don't have to win. It's not necessarily about winning, but if you finish top 10 a lot and your name's in there a lot, people are going to look at you and they're going to talk to you. Because as Brian said, I mean, there's a lot of rosters nationally to fill. It's just that there's not a lot of spots yearly at each individual school. But there are a lot of rosters that need to get, to get players and, student athletes that can really manage what goes on, cause it's a lot.
Any other questions from? Come on, you got
Dave, what would
something,
you say?
don't
I mean, you've kind of been through this process too.
As far as playing in the tournaments,
Yeah,
that question. So my older son is now playing in college, and we started off when he was in his younger years playing some light tournaments. We would find local tournaments in different parts of the state, and we would go out of state and find things that maybe weren't as challenging as the IJGA or MAJGT or all those different acronyms. And we slowly built into a more rigorous schedule where he was probably playing between 15 and 20 tournament rounds per summer by the time he was a junior. And I never felt like I was forcing that on him, but I thought that those were important rounds for him to gain confidence. And something you said struck me, Randy, because I always talk to the high school kids that I coach. You have to be comfortable with feeling uncomfortable when you're playing in tournaments, because you're going to feel uncomfortable. I still play in quite a few tournaments myself, and I have since I was your age, or probably younger, and I'm still uncomfortable on the first tee when they're announcing it. It's an adrenaline kick. It feels great. So I think what Randy's saying as far as reading your own kid, now Peyton, who's different than my older boy, he loves playing in tournaments. So I can't get enough for him. That's what he always tells me. Why haven't I played more this year? From the time he was 8 years old. And I think that's so important to figure out what they need to do and what they feel about it. But the more the better. I was very much like Randy when I came up through the IJGA and AJGA, and I played in everything I could. And it's really important to do that as long as you have the heart and willingness to throw yourself out there, because you are going to fail in your own mind. And it takes a lot to just keep getting up and going after it when you get those scores that you're not comfortable with. And you have to assess that and say, I can do better, I know I can do better, and the only way you're going to prove that is to keep doing it.
success is failure turned inside out is basically what I always said. Cause that's really what I believe. I mean, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So. Anybody else?
I have one follow-up question though. I think it's important too, is at what age, some of these kids are in 5th grade, 6th grade, should they start developing their list of questions that they might ask a college coach? To set their priorities in mind. Can it be too early? In your opinion?
I would say, maybe towards the end of middle school. But again, it's so hard to tell when there's so much that could happen from 5th grade to even 6th grade, There's so much maturing and development that has to go on in those years. But again, it's the same boat. I believe it's never too early to get on these radars. There's how many basketball kids that you're like, oh, this kid's in 7th grade, he's gonna be the next, like LeBron or MJ. Yeah, exactly. So, again, I just poking the bear every once in a while and being on people's radar it can't hurt you. So.
I think what Ryan kind of points out is that it's a lot of work. But everything's a lot of work if you want to get to the top.
Yeah. If you want to play on a college team that bad, you will do whatever it takes, right?
Yeah. And it's a great community, right? Ryan, when you went to
100%.
school, it's just great. You have a family at school. You got a built-in family when you get there. And I think that's the coolest part about playing in college is that, you've already got a built-in family when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's part of that's another question I would ask if you run into a player is how is the team atmosphere? You know, our team was so close.
Yeah.
And I hear, last year, year before, or this year, it's like they're not really that close anymore, which sucks. Like, that's what we built up there, We built the culture. We went from 0 team wins to 9 team wins by the time I graduated. Like, it sucks to kind of see it take a step back, but at the same time, it's like, it's nice to know we built something where everybody felt welcome. We were always there for each other. We all took responsibility most of the time of the stuff we needed to do, and that's what it's all about. It's more fun that way. So if we weren't doing what we were supposed to, you would have been a lot tougher on us.
Yeah.
I know you would have.
Yeah.
Questions? Mom's questions? Kids' questions? Did everybody learn at least one thing from me? What was your favorite part about it? Put you guys on the spot now.
I like hearing about the experience part of it, because you don't really get to hear that from past or current players a lot. You're just hearing it from a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's good to get that perspective.
For sure. Cool. Younger kids, you guys learn something about life or college or school or anything? You just want to go home and play Xbox, right?
All right, well, we're gonna wrap this up. I want to thank Ryan.
Thank you guys for coming out on Sunday.
And he's got some business
Oh, yeah.
cards up here that he can hand out.